everyone. This is Misty Springer, and welcome to the Aligned Heart podcast. I am starting this new year, this 2026, in a very different kind of energy. I talked a little bit about that last week. And what has been transpiring is pretty remarkable and very fun. It's been a very different kind of energy and surprisingly powerful. And this episode is inspired by an experience that I had last week in creating the podcast episode last week. And I knew what I wanted to say. I had an idea. I had a spark of information or inspiration, and I immediately fell into it needs to look like this. It needs to look like somebody else's podcast, or the way that I think that a podcast should look, or how long the podcast should be. And I fell into quite a bit of shoulds and doing it someone else's way. And so as soon as I fell into that energy, the inspiration kind of stopped. I felt stumped. I really didn't know what to put down in the outline. I knew that there was inspiration there, but it just felt a little bit out of reach. And so I turned to chat, and I put in some main topics and some ideas, and full transparency, I said, create an outline for me. What should I talk about on this podcast? And I thought that would be the easy way. I thought that would be the way that I could just get into action, which is 100% okay. I think sometimes we have to just do B- work in order to get started. And it's more important to get moving than to be paralyzed in action because we think that it needs to be perfect. So I'm not criticizing or critical of that experience at all. What I am more interested in is the curiosity of what happened next. So as I was offering my podcast, it felt very clunky. I couldn't find my flow. I'm very familiar with the feeling of flow, particularly in teaching or using my voice. It really truly feels like I am a portal of connection, that inspiration just flows through me. And I know when I'm connected to that divine inspiration, and I know when I'm not. It's a very different experience. And recording the podcast last week just felt out of touch until I got to the meditation. And the meditation had zero outline. I just speak from my heart, and that flowed beautifully. And what that created for me was contrast. And I realized that I was putting a lot of expectations on myself about what the podcast should look like. And it was squeezing off the flow. It was safe. It felt safe to rely on somebody else's rules or somebody else's outline. It felt safe to put an outline into chat and say, tell me what to do. And it didn't feel like mine. And what transpired after that, just kind of icky feeling of it just not being what I wanted it to be, knowing what it could be, knowing what flow felt like, and not having that contrast was a powerful, powerful gift to me. It was a beautiful lesson. And I realized that I am a portal for divine inspiration. That's a powerful statement that I can point to and say, yes, I can feel the truth of that. I know that that's true. And I also know when it's not true. And I want more of being that portal of inspiration. And in order to access that, I have to let go of the expectations. I have to let go of it looking like somebody else. I get to create in my way. And that's what I want to talk about today, that it gets to be mine. And if it gets to be mine, then guess what? it gets to be yours too. That you get to create your business, your relationships, your life, your health in the way that works for you. That your body, your heart, your gifts are going to show you the way, and you don't have to. Of course, you can be informed by the information out there, but only you are tuned in to what is best for you. And that's what I work with my clients on. That's what I feel allows me to access my best work, is when I am tuned into and tapped into that portal of inspiration. That when I am tapped into God and feel that divine inspiration moving through me, that's when it's right for me. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's right for somebody else, and it doesn't mean that somebody else's right is my right, but it gets to be mine. And to have permission for it to be mine has been just an incredibly powerful energy shift for me. And I wanted to share it with all of you, because as I step into this, I really hope, my hope and desire is that you feel more awareness and more permission to step into what's yours. So my experience is that easy is right. And easy means flow. Easy did not mean putting an outline into chat and saying, chat, tell me what to do. It was tapping into what felt right for me. And for me, that's short. I stepped away from that podcast thinking that it needed to be X amount of minutes in order to be the perfect podcast. And I needed, X, Y, and Z in this podcast to create engagement with my audience. And what I know to be true is that engagement happens with resonance. And resonance happens with tapping into truth. And the truth of who I am, and the flow, and that flow of inspiration. When I'm tapped into that flow of divine inspiration, that's when I'm tapped into the truth. And I'm speaking from my own truth. And that is resonant. That's what people are attracted to. That's what people, that's what allows other people, my listeners, to tap into their own truth. They feel that energy from me, and they're able to experience it and witness it within themselves. It opens up something within themselves when they hear someone else speaking from truth. And that requires courage. It requires getting to know yourself. Inspiration is getting to know yourself, because as that inspiration flows through me, I get to see where that inspiration comes from. I get to trust a source that is greater than me. I don't tap into me. It's not my truth, it's the truth. And that truth is coming from a divine source. And so it doesn't feel cocky or prideful to say that I'm speaking the truth, because I feel like it's coming through as inspiration, and that inspiration is powerful, and it's coming through in a way that is right for me and for whoever is listening. The other thing that I realized is that I can remove expectations to get to the heart of what I want. And that may look different than everyone else. I realized that my podcast didn't have to be X amount of minutes long. My best work is in short little bursts of inspiration. It's where I feel the most connected. It's just short little blips. And that's the expectation that I hold for myself. That's the expectation I moved into this podcast with. And what was interesting was that as soon as I gave myself permission to just let it be short, because that's the way that works best for me, all of a sudden I wrote out 3 full outlines of different podcast ideas. It was opening that flow because I wasn't closing it off with expectations. Sometimes expectations can feel like you're squeezing off the hose of flow, like that flow of just what naturally comes through you, your gifts, your talents, what is naturally there and present for you. Sometimes the expectations of what it should look like feels like we're holding onto that hose so tightly that we're closing off the flow of creativity. We're closing off the flow of inspiration. We're closing off that spiritual connection because we think it's supposed to look a certain way. And so what if you were to just lay down those expectations? What if you were just to do it in a way that feels right for you, trusting that you have all the answers inside because you're getting that little bit of inspiration from the spirit every single moment. There's a quote that I read recently that was just so powerful, and I wanted to read it. And this is a coach that I received, or a quote that I received from my coach. It says, "It takes a certain kind of madness to go all in, not talent, not luck, madness, because most people need a safety net, a backup plan, but the ones who actually make something of themselves, they burn the boats, not because it's smart, but because they have to see what they're capable of. Going all in doesn't make sense. It's not logical. It's not safe. It's a full body yes in a world that worships hesitation. But 80% in only gets you 20% back, while 100% in gets you 100% back. Because when you commit like that, when you bet on yourself with no exit strategy, you've got no choice but to start playing a different game. You think clearer, you move faster, you become the person who figures it out." That, to me, is such a powerful reminder. That is the inspiration. Sometimes it feels like madness. Sometimes it feels like nobody understands. Sometimes it feels like it's not logical, but it's yours. It's not logical for me to think that if I just get on without an outline and talk, that people are going to want to listen. That all of the research out there, all the marketing gurus would tell me you need to have X, Y, and Z in order to make a successful podcast. And yet, what I know deep in my heart is that when I am in flow, when I am a portal for that divine inspiration, that creates connection far greater than any plan or marketing strategy ever could. And that's what I am relying on. That's the madness that I'm trusting in. That's where I'm going all in, because I know that when I go all in, magic happens. I love the quote, "You're not crazy, you're just first." And that's kind of what this feels like. When you trust your own magic and your own inspiration, it may feel crazy. It may feel like I'm doing it in a way that nobody else understands. It requires a tremendous amount of trust in yourself to be able to go all in something that feels like madness. And yet, it's where the magic happens. Because when you're a leader has to stand alone. So if you're going to develop the qualities of a leader and lead in a different way, lead in a way that feels like it's divine feminine leadership, lead from your heart, lead from inspiration, lead in the way that God wants you to lead your life. It may feel like you're standing alone. And that's where you have to become comfortable in order to become the leader and the person that you want to be. That's what I feel is opening up for me. That as I really truly believe and stand in this belief that I'm cultivating and practicing that I am a portal for divine inspiration, I become the leader of my life. I step into the divine potential that God sees for me, and that I only get there by letting go of the expectations, letting go of what it should look like, and trusting that I have access to that divine inspiration that's going to guide every step, every word, even when it feels like madness. So, welcome to 2026. My podcasts are going to start looking maybe a little bit different. I'm still going to offer the meditations that go along with each podcast, but they may look a little bit shorter. It may just be me getting on and sharing an inspiration that I have received. I'm trusting that. And I'm trusting that that resonance is going to touch somebody out there, that your heart is going to feel touched because I stood in the truth of who I am and let that inspiration flow from me to you, and that blesses me and that blesses you, because how can it not? If it's a divine source, if it's a divine portal of flow and inspiration, it's going to bless everyone it touches. So, sending blessings and love and light to all of you in 2026. And join me for the meditation that's going to accompany this podcast. Tap into that light within you, that portal of inspiration, that turn up the volume on that trust. Recognize where it is in your body and your experience so you can access it on a regular basis. That's my gift to you all today. Hope you have the very best day. I'll see you next time. And as always, if this is something that resonates with you, please share, please like, please comment, share it with somebody who could benefit from hearing this. And if you want to create more of this energy in 2026, listening to your own voice of inspiration, join me for the Beyond the Vision Board online mini retreat. It will be January 30th from 9 to noon. It's on Zoom. I have a discount code for the next week and a half until January 16th. The cost is normally $49, but with the coupon code you get 50% off. So come, bring a friend. You both can use the coupon code. Would love to have you both there. Create the energy of what you want to be in 2026 and step in with confidence. Hope to see you soon. Thanks, all. Bye.